Hi there, I am Scott Lowe with ActualTech Media. I am joined from ZertoCON 2019 by Paul Van Hyfte, who is the Executive Vice President of Sales for US Signal. I got the name right.
You did, awesome. Good
Excellent.
start.
Wanted to make sure. So you are here at ZertoCON as an exhibitor with, along with some other folks here. What does US Signal do, and what's the partnership you have with Zerto?
Well, it's a wonderful partnership. Zerto is a technology that lets us bring a lot of capabilities to our customer base. So by leveraging the tools that Zerto have provided and our expertise and our infrastructure, we can provide a lot of value to customers that, quite frankly, haven't been able to achieve the levels of protection that Zerto, in a partnership with a cloud provider like US Signal, can now bring to them. So it's a really good opportunity for us to lock arms with a quality partner like Zerto and get in front of customers to help them solve some disaster recovery challenges.
So let's back up for 1 second. Tell us about US Signal.
So US Signal is a Midwest-based organization, been around for around 20 years now. We've got 14,000 miles of fiber, 8 data centers, breaking ground on our 9th data center, maybe today, right as we speak. And what we do is we provide network, colo, cloud services, data protection services, all under one management umbrella. Throw in some security offerings as well, because that's a really important thing for most organizations. And then we take those tools and that expertise out to our customers to provide additional value.
And when you're talking to folks out there, what kind of problems are they coming to you with, especially around data protection and disaster recovery?
Well, quite a few problems, but there are certainly some themes that we see time and time again. People want to be able to recover faster. They want some help with their annual testing. Sometimes an annual test becomes a once every 2 or 3 years test. They want successful tests. They want them done more often. They want someone to help them set the environment up, make sure that it's protected, prove that it's protected. Oftentimes they want to shift some of the risk over to a service provider to aid in that total business protection. So all while, of course, providing a secure environment for recovery, because you can have the best backup technology or the best backup system in place, but if you can't recover it in a timely manner and securely, what good does it really do you? So those are some of the consistent themes we see in the market.
And so you are a cloud provider plus a services provider, really wrapped in one.
Sure. Absolutely. So it's really about understanding what the customer is trying to accomplish. And we all hear about the buzzwords digital transformation and things like that. Well, individually an organization is saying, what will help us provide more value to our customers, speed up our time to market, drive more revenue. And oftentimes IT was historically viewed as a cost center, but now it's a strategic business enablement. If it's not up now, all the time, it's a problem for the business. If IT isn't able to react quickly to the business needs, then they're not able to go and serve their customers quickly. So as IT becomes more ingrained with the day-to-day operations and becomes more pivotal to the organization, the need for it to be resilient increases, and that's where an organization like Zerto and a provider like US Signal can really help that business thrive.
It's really interesting to see what's happened with IT over the last 20, 25 years, is that whole cost center to value driver change. And it's happened, it should have been that way from the beginning, but it took a generation for it to happen. And it's as we look at digital transformation efforts especially, it's clear that it's finally happening. IT has a seat at the table, but also brings new risks, new challenge that we overcome, especially as we look at becoming more reliant on those underlying technology services, especially as they spread out and get more complex. So how is what you're doing with Zerto helping customers overcome some of those new risks that they're facing because of their digital transformation efforts, and how is that partnership helping enable those digital transformation efforts?
So I think one of the biggest things is when you start with a solid foundation, and by that I mean the knowledge that your systems are protected. So if something goes bump in the night, and it's IT, so things still go wrong, by knowing that you're protected and you can get the business back up quickly, it allows you to focus time, energy, and money on strategic initiatives that can drive that digital transformation, whether it's pushing out new applications to your end users or providing additional levels of security. There's more and more regulatory requirements all the time, and that takes time and energy from an IT organization. And if you know that at the end of the day your systems can be back up quickly, it allows you to focus that energy on some of the more strategic things for the business. So I think it's a really foundational thing that you not only have a quality production environment, but that production environment is protected. And once you have that in place, then you can kind of spread out and go on down the digital transformation path.
So mind if we talk about the market just a little bit?
Sure.
So do you think there's that there's a new rift emerging between sort of the haves and have-nots in terms of an ability to do digital transformation, what organizational culture, structure, readiness, things like that? Do you see that as you're talking to customers these days?
Absolutely, and I think within a given organization, they might not be able to define what digital transformation means for them.
Right.
There may be some disagreement on which systems are most critical, which systems are less critical, and oh, by the way, which new systems need to be brought in to help aid in that process. And then, of course, within a given line of business, you may have a disagreement on what do their customers want from them. So it really is I don't want to say a complex scenario, but it's very unique per business, and that's where I think that Zerto and a cloud provider can provide a lot of value is, hey, providing a stable platform to where then you can focus on the uniqueness of your business, not the blocking and tackling of IT, so to speak. So, a company that works with an infrastructure as a service provider, a colo provider, disaster recovery as a service provider can have some of the, the plumbing taken care of, so to speak, so they can focus on the more strategic things. But there's no question, to your point, that as companies try to organize for success and think about their business transformation, there are a lot of disagreeing opinions as to what that means. And not only what does that mean, but then even if they decide what it means, how do they get there?
Right.
And that's where the rubber meets the road a lot, because there are a lot of different opinions on how is the best way to get from point A to point B. And there's not that perfect roadmap from 20 years ago that we can follow, because we're creating the roadmap as we go.
And I was a CIO for a very long time for lots of organizations, and it's interesting how you have to view the CIO role as well in all this. It's not just the CIO used to be a technologist, then everybody says they have to be just about the business, but I still think there needs to be a middle ground somewhere. The CIO has to at least have enough understanding of how the technology works to be able to apply it to the business.
Agreed.
Where do you see that Where do you see that in US Signal's customer base? Are the CIOs not necessarily hands-on doing the coding and all that stuff? We don't want that. But how versed in technology are they these days? And I know this is going a little bit philosophical rather than, but I hope that's okay.
Absolutely.
But where do you see the balance these days needs to be? My personal opinion, more to the business, but you can't get your foot out of the technology completely.
Right, and I would agree with that. And in my experience, I see the pendulum swinging more to the business side and less to the IT side. And when we look at our go-to-market strategy here at US Signal and our successful sales campaigns, technology's been a small component of that. Right? It's been about aligning business goals, understanding the business, including the finances behind that. It's a really complete picture when you're trying to have a successful partnership. And I think the CEOs, especially when you start getting from medium to larger sized organization, they're really swinging more and more towards the business side. But to your point, they still have a basic understanding of technology. And I think the successful ones surround themselves with people that they can really rely on for those infrastructure or cloud or DR type, kind of in the weeds questions and operations. But at the end of the day, they're a strategic part of that C-level suite, right? So they're a business individual helping that organization be successful. They're not just providing desktop as a service or email to the users anymore.
Sorry, I had some notes here that went off my screen.
No, you're fine.
So I apologize. So what else should people know about US Signal before we wrap?
I think one of the things that we really want to help people understand is we're not trying to be all things to all people. I think US Signal is the right size organization. We're big enough that we can handle enterprise IT and tackle those challenges collectively, but we're small enough where we're not trying to do 1,000 deals a month and customers are numbers. We're very consultative. We spend a lot of time getting to know our customers. We build long-term relationships. And what we see is that collective working together is what leads to success. So, for us, I really do think we're the right size. Sure, we have great facilities, great infrastructure, but it's also the people and the expertise that drive that. Lots of companies have type A server or type B SAN, but at the end of the day, what do you do with it, and how do you align your goals with your customers' goals to collectively be successful? And that, plus the support, I think is why we differentiate ourselves, and that's who we are.
I love that approach. We're a very different business, but that's how we've tried to. We much prefer those consultative relationships rather than just a transactional one-off.
Absolutely.
It's a lot better for everybody.
Yeah.
Paul, thank you so much for
coming
very
welcome.
To this impromptu discussion at ZertoCON.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I enjoyed it.
And thank you to our audience for watching this video, and we'll be back shortly.